Okay, hey there. Welcome and thank you for coming. First of all, let's just check. How many of you do not speak local language here? Oh no. So we need to do it in English.
It's okay.
Okay. Okay, we will then speak broken English. So that's like what you get. Okay, so again, thank you for coming, and let's see what we have today for you. First of all, let's just present our agenda for today. And one disclaimer, we'll have a couple of disclaimers, but first one is like, our presentation does not look like this. It's like, I don't know. This color, it's actually red, and it should be like red, but it's not. So probably we will help you to read these things. So the first thing, let us just to introduce ourselves. Then we will tell you a story about the game development, like what actually we did, like what we survived. And there is a couple of disclaimers here. First one is that we will probably use a lot of terminology that you are not familiar with. Not sure like how many of you are like from gaming industry. Can I see just like, so 3 of you? Okay, so the rest of you, it's probably something that you won't be able to understand, but we'll have a QA session and you can ask to explain more. And so also, do you have any other disclaimers here to add, or that's maybe the...
No. That's it for now.
Yeah, okay. So, and again, and the final, as I said, like we will have a QA session and then you can ask whatever you want and we'll try to answer or won't, so we'll see or we will not. So yeah, and yeah, let's see who we are. So we are coming from Medhead Games. Medhead Games here in Serbia is like well-known gaming studio. It's founded in 2011. At the beginning, we start producing casual games. We started with the hidden object puzzle adventure games. We developed more than 60 titles and released. We were really successful there. Our like gamers or clients in that area actually really loved our games. And then like in 2017, we switched our portfolio to core games. We call it internally core, but it's more like games for PCs and consoles. And mostly like we are focused on action adventure games. Here it's right, like our first core game is Cars Above, but actually I would say it's Pagan Absent Gods. First of all, it was called Pagan Online because it was, it should be a co-op game, but after, we'll come to that point, like where you have a communication with publisher and etc. So a lot of things is changing in gaming industry. And then, we needed to, do some updates, and then that Pagan became a single-player game. So that's what I have to say about it. So also the good info is that currently we are working in three locations, like on Balkan. We have one studio in Sarajevo, one in Novi Sad, and one in Belgrade. We have around 170 people, so we are like, I would say, full stack developers. So we are just producing games. We are not publishers at this moment. But we are part of Saber, that like biggest company, like one of the biggest company in the gaming industry, and they are also doing publishing. So some games that we are producing are publishing through Saber. And then like we have also some games that we are doing with other publishers. But yeah, that's what I can to say about Medhead Games, but let's see who are sitting here. Also, you can't read anything of this, but we will read for you. So let's start with Nikolina. Because she's lady, of course, and let's see what you can say for yourself.
Hi, my name is Nikolina, as Saša already explained. I am a newcomer to Medhead Games. My previous work experience was mostly related to Scrum, Kanban methodologies, and product development, especially product management. And then I decided to take a leap of faith and join them in Medhead Games as a producer this year. So.
And probably she would say, yes, finally, I'm part of the game industry. Yeah, so Aleksandar, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Aleksandar, and I'm a lead producer in Madhead Games. So my first introduction to IT industry started at 2013. I was working as a 3D artist. I was working on one startup project, and basically I was doing everything there, like 3D artist, texture artist, animator, and I was upgrading my skills at that moment. So it gave me opportunity to come to Madhead Games and start as a producer, because I was aware of different skills that were needed, but only on the surface level, but it helped me to understand how the product is developing and to have better approach with developers and with artists that are, like defining that. So yeah, from 2016 I joined to Madhead Games, and exactly from 2018 I became a producer, and yeah, that would be it.
Cool, thank you. One-man show probably at the beginning. Okay, David.
Hi everybody. As you can see, my name is David. It's pronounced David on Serbian. I'm also working in Madhead Games as a lead producer. I myself, I didn't come from a project management side. I am actually started as a 2D artist in Madhead Games. I have been in Madhead Games for now 9.5 years, something like that. And I was working on our first casual games, firstly as 2D artist, then lead artist, then I became something we call then producers, but it's not the same as we are calling now producers. And when Saša joined the team, I basically started learning from him the true meaning of project management and producing.
That was bad decision, probably.
Yeah. And from 2018, I'm working as a producer / project manager in the Madhead Games. So that's basically it.
Cool. Okay, so it's me. I joined the gaming industry in 2015, and it was a funny situation actually. I was the first project manager in Madhead, because it was like there was like I remember they advertised like role, we are looking for project manager, and I asked like what are you looking for? And they said like we don't know, like let's see what we are looking for. And it was like from that moment we started to building the project management discipline inside the let's say Madhead. And there was at the beginning like we had producers on casual games, and those people are mostly like people that carry the vision, and they were like what we say today game directors at that moment. And we changed a little bit of naming of these positions, so we now have game directors and producers. Producers are more like for scheduling and organizing and like actually providing or execute the vision that game directors like are defining. So that's like what we change it, and so we call it now like producers, and I have that honor to be a head of production at Madhead Games. So my background is like I finished Faculty of Organizational Science here in Belgrade, so that helped me a lot to understand like what means like managing people, managing the projects, and also like understanding the business acumen. So I had like experience I worked for a government a couple of years, then I switched to private companies and actually did a lot of things in different industries there. But IT was something that I really find that is good for me. So from that 2015, I just joined the gaming industry, and from that moment we are building this project management discipline there. And I think we came to the moment that without production and having the production management, it's a crucial part of delivering the game, and it actually helps us a lot. So we have a crucial role inside of this. So let's see what's happening there then. So as we said previously, like we want to tell you a story about the game development, like what we experienced actually. And we call this story, it was funny today, Voyage of Resilience. Because in gaming industry, it's a really different industry from any other industry. Like even you can say, okay, it's similar to IT industry, but still there is one important segment in gaming industry that none industry has. It's like fun. It's really, really hard to achieve, and it brings you a lot of uncertainties during your journey. And that's what we are trying to cope with every day. And if you don't have fun inside your product, you are like, you just not there where you want to be. And that is like why we have this, let's say, title here. And we will show you a little bit of our journey, what we actually experienced, what kind of techniques and practices we used, what we learned, what worked, what not. And that's it, like something you can just expect that. So let's start. So does anyone want to ask me something from you guys?
I want to ask actually, how does the journey start with producing a game?
Yeah, well, we start with demo. That's where we need a product that will show or sell publishers in order to continue the development. So this is an important milestone, and it's actually we need to craft a demo that publisher will love. And during this stage, as you can see, it's a foggy, and that's like expected, because in this stage we still don't know what's the vision, what's the product, and we are really iterative here. So we do a lot of changing. Like sometimes we will say, okay, well, let's create a first-person shooter. Oh no, we can't because we don't know how to do it. Then let's create a top-down hack and slash game, and then we'll kind of, well, still we are not satisfied. We cannot achieve the fun. And then okay, let's now try third-person action game, RPG, whatever. And then we'll say, let's see what, well, let's try and iterate. And then what we learn here is that leaving creative people to actually run this stage, actually to be in charge, is really important. But we need to time box it. That's the first lesson that we learned after a couple of, that's not couple, but 2 our titles, that help us actually to achieve the product that will help us to go to move forward, go outside of this stage. And that's also what this stage is important to say here, is that a lot of, in that kind of environment where you iterate a lot, you need to react fast, right? And then like you are asking from technology team to develop your improvements in really quick way, which will lead you to have too much hacks, which means the system how you develop features or experience is not done in systematic way, and then like do hacks which eventually leave it you to have the product that it's not stable enough, and you are like stuck there. So
I would like to add something.
Yes,
I think that most challenging at that moment was to, as Saša said, too many hacks, and you wasn't able to, of course, produce some stable systems because you needed to be fast and to iterate fast. But then the challenge was how to basically control programmers, because when you ask them, hey, can you develop something fast and do hacks, and it doesn't need to be stable, it was a problem because they constantly were arguing about that. Because they wanted, like if you're asking for some feature, you want some improvement, you have a conference in 3 weeks, you want to sell to publishers the story. It was a problem if you want to add any new feature because your code wasn't stable. So it was a challenging moment how to balance everything there. So yeah.
Yeah, for the team it's really stressful. It's not. I would say comfortable situation when you have 2 weeks to develop some improvement that actually we think will sell the game. And what is the second lesson learned here is that in this stage it's really important to have skilled people, so the most senior one, and your team shouldn't be a big here, so it should around 10 people max, and then they should be all senior, if you have, of course, because our previous projects, we didn't have that. We just started, with the experience that we had, and then it's really hard to deliver something. But eventually, we were able, for all our previous projects and this current one that we are developing, we were able to move forward and actually go outside from this phase and go to we call it pre-production.
And just to jump in here, when we want to close the story regarding the chaotic environment such as this, where there's a lot of creative chaos that is actually beneficial for creative people to produce as much as content as they could, to produce as much as content as they could for you to define the future vision for the product you're developing. It's very important to emphasize that in this period, where there's so much chaos, so much information going from one back and forth, and there is also a lot of switching of priorities for people generally in that environment. In that particular case, it's best to start thinking about stabilizing the solution, stabilizing the product that you're trying to develop. And that's a good intro for actually going into the production phase.
Yeah, also it's good to say that during this demo, as I said at the beginning, I think, don't implement strict processes for creative people, because they need to be creative during this phase, but that's the only way how you will, deliver the vision they actually want. Leave them to iterate, and then you need to sense what is the moment where producers come in and actually, okay, now we need to deliver this product. We need to stop because it can go too long, and that's not good. Stakeholders will come and say, okay, now, guys, we don't have money or whatever. It's, taking too much time. But yeah, coming to the pre-production, it's, well, on our first projects, actually, we were really, we didn't actually realize what means pre-production. We didn't know, we just started, we produced. We thought that we are producing a game all the time, but no, we actually start a pre-production phase. And this stage is really important because your main goal is craft your workflows to, be able to build a game that you actually want and achieve the core gameplay loop, which you cannot leave this stage without these two things. And also, after this pre-production phase, you need to understand how you can scale up, because the next stage that we will present soon will come in, and then you need to be prepared. This stage, what we did for our second project, first project was a chaos all the time. We all the time try to implement, it's called novel practices, you need to act in that moment. That's how you reacting on chaos situation. You don't have time to sense and understand, okay, you can use good practices. No, it's not possible. It won't work. And then we had that in the first project, and then we figure out what we can do to prepare this pre-production, to prepare ourselves to start. And we did a great thing here. We call it internally pre-production kickoff. It's a bunch of meetings, sessions, dedicated. It lasts for 5 days, to present to the whole team. But preparation of that, it took maybe I think 2 months for us, because we separated in 4 groups. First of all, we need to let's be transparent about our vision. What is the product we are building, and how what information team needs to have from the beginning in order to understand how to start. Then we needed to do a lot of production things. For example, we had clear milestone timelines that will present what is the path and how we call these milestones, and what is the deliverables of each of these milestones that we need to achieve in order to be productive and efficient. And also building the workflows before, because it was a kind of post-mortem, like you collect all those experience from the previous project and then just try to see what is not working and then like incorporate. That's what was our starting point. And also the really cool, important thing is like, what's your team? Like, who is building with you this game or the product? Because it's really important to have leadership of your team, like set, to understand who is accountable for certain things inside the development, like who is accountable for seeing characters inside the game, and those things actually help us to go through this phase, which you can see a lot of storm is there, like you are back and forth, you don't sure that the design is enough, that is understandable, you need to build the team, because this phase helps you actually to understand what position needs to be populated, and we as a producer needs to be a voice of that. Like we need to react immediately when we see that some processes are like slow or not efficient, and then we will jump in.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. You said something about transparency and communication issues, so can you elaborate more on that?
When it comes to transparency and communication, this is something that overlaps from pre-production to the production phase. If you compare pre-production phase to the Canvin model, I don't know if you're familiar with it, with the framework, with the chaotic, complex, complicated things. So in this particular environment, which is pre-production, you will have a complex situation. There is much unknown, so what producers are trying to do is to set up the pipeline. At least to try to set up the pipeline that will actually work in the future when you go to the production phase. But transparency and communication issues, this is something that is definitely affecting whether you're in production or whether you're in pre-production or production phase. So you can set up the vision. In a fast-paced environment, transferring crucial information is like very important, and it can have a great impact on the further development of game development. However, when your teams are very codependent, let's put it plastically, you can have a situation when you can have a vision, you can have value, but then communication between the teams is very poorly designed. What producers do in that situation is to identify the problem, try to solve that problem, set up the pipeline with the hit and miss technique, basically, and then try again until you find a solution that is working well with you. So once you figure out that communication is not working that well and that your vision is compromised, the value is not being delivered, your stakeholders are grumpy because of it, then in that case you need to see where is the problem. You can have all processes and rituals transparent, available to the others, but if there is not if the key elements are not well aligned with the coherent scope that is changing all the time, in that particular case, there is no transparency. And when we compare it to the Scrum framework and the 3 basic pillars we have there, which is transparency, introspection, and adaptability, when you have transparency, when your transparency is lacking and you're not doing introspection on a regular day-to-day basis to identify the problems that you are covering and that you are actually not solving at some point, then you have a huge problem, and sometimes the problem can be huge and your vision cannot be delivered in the exact time frame. So timeline falls down that you created at the beginning. There are a bunch of questions. Who is responsible for this? Who is accountable for that? There is some changes in the team, changes in teams in general, and David will probably explain more how he saw that situation on his project.
Yeah, I would actually just, before that, which is great, I would just, do you remember when we actually, what helped us in pre-production phase to be more stable here? It's like incorporating feature lock and bug fixing weeks. So that's the moment, like what we actually was a game changer, I would say, for us. So do you remember what we did there?
Yeah, so I would first go back to the first project that you mentioned, that it was completely chaotic.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, because whenever we had a major milestone and the build that we need to deliver to the publisher, the problem was that basically till the last day of like that milestone, we just start piling a lot of new features, some improvements, bug fixes, so mix of all, and it went to unstable builds, and publishers were grumpy, as you said.
Yeah.
So we needed to change something. Like that approach, like was wrong. So after that project, then we discussed, okay, what we need to improve, what in our framework doesn't work, and we started doing a feature lock. Basically, it means that we knew exactly for each milestone. We agree what date should be when we cannot add anything else except bug fixes. So from that day till the release, we are fixing only bugs.
No new functionalities,
no new
nothing
functionality.
like you can't.
Then it led us to bug fixing period. It meant how it looks in practice. We stop adding any new features, any improvements. We are working only on depending on the QA report at that moment. We were focused on fixing all the blockers and critical bugs. And when we have, let's call it, stable as much possible build, then we create a new branch called release branch, and then we start going into bug fixing week. That week helped us to be focused only on those important bugs that we need to provide. I mean, to fix.
Blockers, criticals, like that you cannot play the experience. Like what you build, you're not able to finish it till the start to the end, and then we have the list of those things, and we producers will talk with leads and just say, okay, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed, and then that really help us as
and also there was another thing, because then we finally, when we created the branch, of course other guys could start working on the main branch. They could submit their work, like they didn't anymore needed to keep it locally on their computers and waiting, okay, when I can submit my work. But then, like we started working in parallel. So one team was focused on release. The other part of the crew was focused on working on new improvements, new features, etc. So
because new feature cannot be stopped. Like you need to keep producing new things.
If I can jump in, sorry for interrupting. When he said working in parallels, that is basically demanding you have enough big enough team so you can work in parallels. So I just want to share a short story that happened on my project regarding team growth. Basically, we had some kind of opposite demands. Creatives from my team demanded a bigger team, and business side said, okay, do we really need bigger team? Can we afford them or anything?
And he's also business side.
Yeah. So, but in that moment, in that time period, happened that his project ended, and my team, we basically switched around 30 people to my team, and my team expanded, almost doubled. So, what we did here? So basically, we have first thing, because we have much bigger team, we have to give tasks for everyone, and we need to start working on much. Much not bigger features, but
you expanded your scope.
Yeah, we expanded our scope really much. So that led to that led to the creatives and the designers to be really overwhelmed with new requests. So we basically had to find a new design to cover the whole team. And that led to the next step, that feedback was running late on the things that we're already doing. So basically, whole production so to say, crashed, and we have to change the way we do things. We switch from the 2 weeks production cycles, to call it sprints, to 1 whole month production cycles, and we basically made a bigger and slower production so project managers and producers can cover the whole team. There were basically 3 of us covering around 80 people, so it was really hard.
Overwhelming.
The thing is, like,
yeah.
when you're adding a lot of people to the project, like, even if you add 2 people, 3 people in 1 week, it's a big change for you because you need to establish, again, communication channels. Like, you need to understand who is, like, you are adding a new guy to the team, certain team, and that lead has a new guy that he needs to lead, and that takes a lot of time. And can you imagine, like, just adding 30 people in 1 month? That was like a really bad decision. And what we learned there?
Yeah, what we learned. We basically learned that larger team is not efficient team. We learned that leaders and the guys that are pushing the production cannot cover more than 10 people at one time. Basically, 10 it's not a clear number, but around that's something between 5 and 15. If it's 15, it's too much. If it's 5, it's okay. We learned that when you work in parallel, as he said, but you work on a lot of features parallelly, you lost a bigger picture. You're just working on a lot of puzzle pieces, and when you try to make a puzzle, combine them, it doesn't work. We got not good project, not fun games. So we had to take a step back and to think how we are going to figure this out, to find a way. So
it's better, it's better to put them on the bench. We call it like that. Like put those people. It's cheaper for the company to put them on the bench and then like pull out one by one and just like make a schedule when these people can join, because it is like when the business side look at it like, but guys, we have 30 people on the bench. They are like, producing the cost because you need to pay the salary, of course. But on the long run, it's really, like better, like, because what we did, we prolonged our project for 9 months because of that, like getting just 30 people inside the pipeline and just like do something. And that's really, really bad decision.
And one more thing I want to add, a longer production cycle that we try to implement on basically 1 month whole production cycle is easier for planning, but it's when we try to assemble it into cohesive whole, it's really messy and it's really hard. So basically when we try to make a build at the end of the month, then we can see the whole picture, and the whole picture was not good. So we had to take a step back and to see how we are going to reassemble the game again, what's not working, what is working, and to continue to, produce the core gameplay loop, as Saša said, because this is the most important part of the game.
And especially when you put that many people in the teams, like let's work on something, and everything falls apart. One of the key reasons why that happened is because of that lack of communication, lack of transparency of processes, and that's how you try to solve that problem by developing the strike teams, right?
Yeah. So basically, that's what we did. But it's on the third stage, basically in the production, when we were already in production. What we did.
So let's maybe like do this. How do we know when we are out of the pre-production?
Yeah.
How
do we know we are out of the pre-production? Basically, in the gaming industry, in our experience, we have this really important milestone called vertical slice. When you are working on vertical slice and sending to the publishers, to the IP owners, it's basically going to say, this game is going into the production, or we are going to scrap it. Is it a good game or not? That's it. And one of the main questions we need to answer in the vertical slice is, how much it's going to cost us to build the whole game, because vertical slice is basically 1 hour of gameplay that we are going to.
It's a part of the game that you choose. Probably you are using the similar terminology in IT industry, or I know those 3 are from the gaming. Vertical slice is really important one, when we deliver that, when we get the green light from all stakeholders involved in our development, then we are proceeding to the production state. So that's the moment where we actually out of this chaos and complex environment, and we are more now in complicated, which means, okay, just like what you did previously, you need to be 3 times faster now. So because you are spending maybe a year and a half just to be in this pre-production and demo phase, and then production expect to do the rest of the content, which is 70% in 1 year or 2 years. That's you need to do an enormous big work now to finish, to complete, and then you use those workflows that you develop, that you understand, and now you find the way how to scale up. So you need to have a bigger team, you need to have these pipelines set and workflows, they are working, and we are all accepted them, those how we are doing. Of course, you can change them during the production that's happening, but in this stage, we have I won't say biggest enemies, but the challenges are still the game needs to be fun. We cannot fail in the quality because we need to continue. We need to be consistent with the quality, and then we cannot provide. We cannot be in the situation that it also lasts too long, because you will not have enough money, and also, if you don't have enough money, we don't have time as well. So that's a thing what in these stage is happening.
So I just want to jump in about chasing fun and making something work. What happened on my project, basically, it was end of the year, and we realized that game is looking okay.
It's not
but
the first time that we realized. On that path, we realized a couple of times.
Yeah, it wasn't really fun for us. So the core gameplay loop, or core combat loop in our case, wasn't good enough. Yeah, it wasn't good enough. So game designers and game directors take a step back again and try to reiterate the whole problem with the core gameplay loop. And we said to ourselves, okay, we need to have some experience by the end of the year. It was start of December, and we gave ourselves 3 weeks to make core gameplay loop and to make one
core combat game.
Combat game combat loop, and we want to make one chunk of the game that is fully representable of what game going to look like. So what we did there, we created a strike team. You probably know what a strike team is, but I'm going to explain it anyway. So we took our most senior developers, our leaders, and created, I will say, smaller team around 10 to 15 people. We created one complete design for the one encounter, where game directors practically recorded the video and said, I want this to happen at this moment, I want this to happen at this moment, and I want this to happen. So we basically have something we called GDD, game design document, but it was as a video recorded. Mm-hmm. So we took that video, we took the team, we estimated what needs to be done, what asset needs to be done. We made from production side, we made closed community. We made this virtual office. Yeah, thank you, virtual office. And every day we meet at the morning. We agreed what we're going to make this today. So basically, after we had a production cycle of over a month, we, as a strike team working, we had the full production cycle in 1 day. So design, estimation, development, then feedback all in one day. And we worked like that for 3 weeks, and we delivered it. We really made a good thing. We really made a good encounter that we still use in our game.
And what would you say? Like, can we use that approach everywhere?
Yeah, we tried to use the strike team approach to make a few more strike teams to see if we can expand that way of working, but it doesn't work because one of the most important things in the strike team is to have the team really focused. So if you have, for example, 2 designers working on the 3 strike teams, it's not good because they are not focused. So you need basically 1 designer, one or 2 senior programmers or lead programmers, 1 lead animator, lead VFX artist, and everything, all the leads, and create 1 team that is going to finish 1 part of the game, and that's it.
Yeah. I would say that also it's important to be isolated. Like, if you want, it won't work on systems that actually are dependent on others. This was the great example where that encounter was like, it has own systems, like it can be pulled out of the game and you can do it in the branch without any like impacts on other features, which is great. And then like that you can reiterate like and doing a lot of changes inside the code, and you won't ruin something on the main branch. So that is one also I would add, like crucial moment why strike team works in that environment, but cannot work in other where are dependent on other code, even especially if you don't have technology written in the proper way, where you can just how it's said, I know don't word in English, but when you need to calamity. I don't know,
put things together.
Put things together, like and if the technology is not like supporting that, it's really a mess, because one change of the code to another things will break, and then you will have a lot of bugs. So that's the reason why strike team couldn't work in other examples. What about the people inside the strike teams? How do they feel?
Well, basically working on strike team is I will say hard. It's fun, but it's really not stressful, but I'm also lost for the words on English. Intensity is really big, but a big payoff is that you really quickly can see the fruits of your work, and the fruits are usually really good. So
I would say that there is no overtime, right?
There was some overtime, yeah, in the strike team, but that was the last week of our production in the strike team, so that's it. Okay.
And usually producers are the one who are keeping the team focused that much, right?
Yeah, producers are my how to say, my biggest challenge was to keep team focused and not talk to the other part of the team that are not working. So basically I was their guardian, and I was their how to say, like in the prison guard. So you only work on this, nothing else.
Yeah. I would also to mention one more thing, but let's try to be short because we are running out of the time. If you remember, like on our project called Scars Above, we had the situation with the cinematic production. What would you like to share there?
Yeah, one of my most stressful situation on that project. Literally, we had around 30 cinematics to finish in 3 months, and it was like, okay, how are we gonna do that? And why we even was in that situation, it was because, as during this conversation, we had we spread a lot, like we started working too wide, and we somehow missed all the dependencies that will affect the cinematic production. And I would like to pinpoint one of those dependencies. It is a narrative implementation. So it is important in each game, whenever you want to have cinematics, and players, first of all, like cinematics, there are some storytelling parts of the game. It is important to have narrative flow that you defined in pre-production. And what we missed there is to finish the pre-production of that narrative. We went into production, it spread a lot, and then we had only 3 months to finish that, and that's why it was really stressful for me, but also for my team, because we couldn't achieve the quality that we were targeting. So I would say that pay attention to all the dependencies whenever you're doing some complex work and the work that will take you a lot of time. So I would say 1 year maybe would be enough. So imagine how it will go if you have 3 months to do that.
I was not on Scars Above, disclaimer. Why didn't we start with the production sooner of the cinematics? What happened there?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so as I said, like we didn't pay attention so much to implement that walkthrough, how we call it. It means that you as a player, you start from position A, you need to finish game in position B. During that journey, you have different interactions with environment, you have different combats, different mechanics, and all of them are teaching you about the game. All of them are telling you some story that you need to learn about the game, you know, like about the story in the background. And that's how we somehow spread a lot. We started doing a lot of different mechanics. We started iterating through the dialogues, through the narrative, etc. So we couldn't nail that narrative flow that were the important dependency to incorporate cinematics into it. So yeah, like I would say for that, do that in the pre-production, do as fast as possible that walkthrough, and then start iterating and figure out, okay, what you want to change, what not, and don't wait for the last moment to start working on.
Yeah, the important thing is like start from placeholders, like just put anything like where you can build that walkthrough, so you will understand like where you need the dialogue, what is the dialogue, so the narrative lead or game director can feel the story, can feel the experience, and then like, they will be able to give you a dialogues and sentences that you need for cinematics earlier, and that's what we actually incorporated in our next projects, like how actually as approach. So that helped us a lot to be quicker, and then now, even in the pre-production phase, we are producing the cinematics in almost like final candidate state, which means like we just need final voiceovers, which means like how the characters are speaking. We are use temporary voiceovers or text-to-speech. That's
auto-generated,
auto-generated solutions. That also is something helping us that we be quicker and you know not being in this position anymore, because it was at the end of the production.
And sorry, Aleksandar, but my question: did work on the cinematics in any kind interfere with your work on post-production for the game? Because, as I understand, it went into post-production period.
Well, it went into post-production because we asked for more time, but it was not I would say, the main problem with cinematics. It was not only that narrative problem that came up, but it was also with publishers that they asked to see, okay, can you provide us some cinematics in final quality, you know, like how it's gonna look like. And we were literally, instead of doing in batches, work in batches and optimize our time in production, we started doing one by one cinematic. And it's literally, you're building a house and you not start from base, walls, roof, but instead of that, you start working on each individual room. You know, like you finish the kitchen, you put all the elements, and then, okay, let's start making living room, you know, like. So both ways will give you results, but it is not efficient way. And
the second one.
yeah, of course, the second. And it led to the post-production that we took some time in post-production to wrap up those cinematics because we asked for more time. We get more time, around 2 months. So yeah, like my key takeaway would be start sooner, do work in batches, and you know, like then start iterating instead of chasing each individual and iterating on that individual cinematic. Yeah.
So iterative approach is really crucial. Yeah. We implemented stages for each feature. For cinematics, for anything, we call it like proof of concept, prototype, shippable and best possible stage. That's like what we use and help us like to understand for each feature or each segment of the game where we are currently, which is important like to showcase to the stakeholders, to yourself, to the team, and like bring these things like to higher tier quality. So when we mention, do you want to ask anything else, or I would switch to the post-production phase?
I have a question.
Yeah.
We
don't know answer.
Okay, good. I wanted to ask, so what happens after the production? Like, how do you know that you're in post-production? You're delivering a game?
Yeah, you are like actually finished with the content.
But
that means
he said like
that happened like with that
and we learned
specific.
On
we learned on that.
Yeah.
Like never do that again. Like when you have a beta. Beta, how it's said like in English? Beta, milestone, then that means like content is locked, and then like you are going to the post-production, and when you mean in that point like, okay, we are done finally, that's it, like we have the game and like just release it, but no. We actually learn here that this stage can last for 6 months. This on our project with Scars Above, for the first time we introduce ourselves with the first parties, that's like Sony, Microsoft, or like those that are like owner of platforms where you are releasing your game. And then you don't know those platform-specific issues. Just plug out your controller and plug in, game is broken, like it's like crashed. We never like tested in that way, so we learn a lot of platform-specific issues. Also, you have like Sony would say you can't use joystick terminology. You need to use gamepad, and you need to change it. And you need to do localization on all 7 languages or how many. So those kind of things will prolong this stage, and the previous project, Scars Above, actually help us to understand this, and it's really important to have release timeline because you need to establish this with your publisher. Our publisher was like not giving this document before, I think, 2 months before the release, and we figure out, oh my God, what's this? And then like you have a lot of things that you need to do. So for Scars Above, post-production was like lasted for 6 months. And also there is a crucial part, optimization. That means like you need to optimize your game to work on those, like say, lower platforms like Sony 4 and you are like
Gen
using
8
the
consoles.
Gen 8, but I don't know like how many people don't understand like what means Gen 8. Like those are platforms that actually have the let's say lower hardware qualities, like they cannot run the game that you are producing in the higher technology, and then like you have that mismatch, and then you need to do a lot of optimizations, understanding like what to do. And we actually, for the Scars Above, we had a luck, I would say, because it was like we can't make it to work on Gen 8 consoles, and actually it happened with some magic. And also what I would mention here in post-production, we as a producers needs really to be vocal here, because my situation was I was saying like we don't need Gen 8 for this product, but publisher don't want listen, or any other like stakeholder, and it's really hard to get that combat, actually to win, because they think that okay, statistics shows that on the market there is like 20% people playing still on Gen 8 consoles like PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. So they say like that's a lot of people, 20%. Like we need to make it work. And then like results after we released the game, it's like bought 4 people, like all 4 people bought it. Like so it was like really for 4 people we spent 6 months. So that's the outcome. Cool, great. So I think it's really crucial for producers to be, understanding like the market, what's happening there, like and try to, even it's on publisher, like really it's on publisher, but still you need to have that communication with them. So yeah, platform compatibility and ensure that the game is played on platforms is the biggest goal here. And yeah, that's the journey. that's the stories that we had so far. We were able to ship 2 of these titles, that we can call core games, that going through these stages. We are currently working on 2 more. And for Madhead Games is in 5 years we did let's say a great leap, like a huge leap. What is the expression better? But you were a casual developers, then you start working on indie projects, then going to AA, and now we are working on AAA. In 5 years, what that means for the team, like how much you need to scale, how much you need to understand, how much you need to learn, and actually all these situations that we had help us to learn, to understand, and to be better every day. And still we're still learning, we're still making mistakes, we still have a lot of back and forth, storm, and etc. So it's really fun environment.
If I could just add one thing to go back to the start of this. Start of this talk, as Saša said, in gaming industry there is one crucial factor, and it's chasing the fun. And as you can see in all of the phases, there is no fun, no fun, no fun. So it is really one factor that is making the production hard. But everybody wants a fun game. Nobody wants just a stable game. Oh, nobody's going to go on Steam and write, yeah, this game got no bugs, but it's really boring. Thumbs up. No,
well,
everybody's going to say this game is really fun because everybody can withdraw their money from the Steam after playing 1 hour.
Yeah,
so
they have it.
we need to, sorry, Saša, we need to be as much as possible in agile production as we can, because chasing fun is always making 3 steps, taking 2 steps back again and again. And it sounds frustrating, but I would say it is fun part for me. But maybe I'm just...
Yeah, actually what you said,
masochist.
Fun game or stable needs to be connected, because creative people would say, we need a fun game, I don't care about bugs. I don't, even, he just want fun game. But technology people would say, but we can't release this game because, cannot be played on these platforms, because it's not optimized, because it's not prepared. And then you have a clash. And we needed, as a producers, to find the, balance here. So spending more time when we need to spend time on stability, when we need to spend time on making more fun, and that's the compromise you need to take all this way, and then you release it, and then you think, okay, we will have a winner here, but sometimes it's not the case. Even you did all this journey, you shipped the game, doesn't mean that you have a successful game from the aspect of the, let's say, gamers, or how many people bought this game, whether you actually return the investment. That's for the business important thing, but for the gamers, yes. And then also you're not sure whether the publisher did a good work here, whether they do a marketing job properly, whether they wanted to pull more money in the marketing, and then
properly promote.
Promote and have the situation that people knows about the game. So even you can finish with the, I would say, cruiser, the big ship, or you will go back with the boat. So that's the situation what can happen actually when you release the game. And yeah, that's also a situation where what we are encountering, but yeah, we can experience, but yeah, we still love producing the game. So yeah, that's it. We don't have anything else. I think it was interesting sharing our experience. And if you have any questions, yeah, be free. Also, if you want to check out our website, you can find what kind of roles we are looking for. So that's it. Thank you.
For these compatibility problems, because you worked on multiple games and then useful to have in one place. Like if you are building a game in Unity, these are potential problems with compatibility with the platforms or something. I mean, to have in one place things which you learned from the previous projects.
You mean like what kind of? Give me just example because I'm not sure like if I understood the. Yeah.
Maybe do you need a microphone?
Maybe microphone. Yeah.
Okay, so the question was for a lesson. Sorry, question was for a lesson learned repository. It is like a tool which is used in project management to collect all the things we learned from the previous projects. Because you mentioned you can have potentially a lot of problems with the compatibility with the different platforms. And then my question is, do you have something like that? I mean, the place where you collect all the
Like a
things.
code base.
What?
Code base.
Sharing knowledge about the code base.
Yeah.
You mean that?
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, you have, one thing. So we had problems with this platform, I don't know, like Xbox 2 or something. And then how you resolve that problem, but something like specific which can occur in the future.
Yeah, we have a knowledge base, we call it, in our, like internally, and it's a bunch of documentation, bunch of situations that we encounter, and like how we solve it with I don't know, video files if we need it. So yes, we have.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, backlog of issues.
Yeah, and the best practices shared there, so yeah, we are using it. But it's constantly changing because there is a new technology. You need to adopt to that new technology. So yeah, there are constantly changes. But yeah, we are updating the documentation as the time came.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Yeah.
Okay. Ostaću. We're gonna be without.
Like, do you know in advance what kind of compatibility you gotta have? Like, okay, like the main ones, like PS5 and Microsoft, okay. But you told it that sometimes they're gonna run also some lower quality hardware. Did the publisher tell you in advance what kind of?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
So
we
before
had it in advance, like what is intended platforms for this title, but you can challenge that. Like we as a developer can do that because we actually understand that some those pre-production phase, like when we need to confirm all those things, we can say, okay, we think using this technology and achieving this kind of qualities, like for the characters, they won't be able to be rendered in that such tier quality on lower platforms. So that sometimes we can advise to publisher, but still it's on them to decide.
But you told us that the last time they told you 2 months, just 2 months in advance.
No. That's a release timeline. Like they would say, okay, release timeline is like when you get the exact day. We need a build calling, like it's a name like without bugs, but there is a title. And then like we need to receive it. We need to schedule time with their QA team because they will, have outsource QA partners, I don't know, and then you need to do age rating, you need to do localization in 7 new languages that you can add. So those all things we didn't know like 2 months before. So we didn't know like what do you need for age rating? And they would say, okay, you need to create a build, you need to record the videos, you need to write this document, all that takes time. And then like, you are receiving from those agencies like what is your age rating that you need to put it at the beginning.
PEGI 18.
Yeah, that's it. So all those things, like we got 2 months before, like first planned release. Because we got that, we figure out that we need 6 months. So like it's just a.
But can I ask you another question? Like, how come like you came from a completely different environment? You came from more artistic environment. You studied organizational science.
Yeah.
How did you end up like doing similar jobs?
It's an experience. It's just
we started working together when he joined Method Games, and basically we became friends. And he starting to teach me how to do.
It's more like people has a natural management skills sometimes, like you can recognize in people that.
Natural selection.
Natural selection, yeah. And actually it's, if you personally want to do some things better, and you can see what are the mistakes on in process you're using, and if you are systematic, those things actually pull you out, and then you can probably go further in hierarchy. So David, and Aleksandar, actually they just during their work give us actually the how to say impressions that they can do those things, that we can rely, and that just can do organization things. And sorry?
I said follow, you said. It's got fun.
Maybe you can hear me like this.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. But maybe others can't.
Cool. Thank you. So how can we know from that vertical slice that we have between the pre-production and actually starting the production accurate forecast of our costs? Because I guess so, pre-production and before demo, we have a lot of unknown. We have a lot of iterations, and it's much less efficient than the production when we set up the pipeline. How do we get the actual cost of the project?
It's still
yeah,
that's a good question, but that's the reason why you need to do this pre-production kickoff meeting, because you need to understand what you need to understand what you need, what kind of workflows and pipelines you need, and then you are picking the right segment of the game that will, provide you that. You won't pick the easiest part of your game that you have in mind. You will pick the hardest one, because that's the thing that will show you, okay, we need this kind of characters, we need this kind of mechanics, and etc. So that is something that is 90% of your workflows and pipelines, and then you will just multiply them and use it. And we can, estimate. Still, we can say it's guesstimate, but it's something that also, provide you at least some numbers that are rely on some experience or some practic, situations. So,
maybe we should explain what the vertical slice is. So it's basically a playable build. You have few levels on them. You have characters that are mostly done. You have combat that is envisioned and implemented. So basically, you have a mini game.
Core gameplay loop. That's
Yeah.
it. What is your game? Yeah.
And then when you have that set, what experience you're trying to achieve, then you see how many people do you need to achieve that experience, and then you set up the costs by basically put it on paper and calculate it.
I would add time tracking on tasks is one good way to actually get the equation at the end of the vertical slice.
Cool.
I think I would add what I like to do. It's do a log of everything. When you work with outsourcers, you need to also calculate what's their response. How much do they need to address your feedback or do from the scratch? Those calculations or times that you log, it actually help a lot. For example, I now know how it's working with this outsourcer, how much time do we need if we produce one cinematic, one character, and those things helps you to have more exact calculation of vertical slice.
Cool.
For the rest
a lot
of the
of
game.
stuff into the calculation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are good mathematicians. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's no any other questions, that's it. I would say, because I think other people waiting for
Another lecture.
Yeah. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.